Hi everyone, it's Ray here. Before we jump in today's blah, blah. Hi everyone, it's Ray here. Before we jump into today's episode, a quick note. You'll notice that Maya and Luigi's audio is a little choppy in places. Something went wrong with the audio during recording and I'm not sure what. But I've tried my best to clean it up and luckily our guest's audio came through perfectly, so you won't miss a thing. And I'm really glad for that because the conversation today is special. We were joined by Sinalo Jonas, host of Pride the Queer Show, a program you can catch on Cape Town TV or you can stream it online at freevisionplay.co.za. Sinalo's work is all about amplifying queer voices and stories. And it was such a privilege to bring our worlds together from Cape Town all the way to China and tangentially to Canada too, just for this episode. I had a lot of fun recording it. I had some really great conversations with him. I'm going to invite him back onto the show. And it's quite possible that I will be in season 2 of Pride the Queer Show. Anyway, with that, enjoy the show. Tough questions, honest answers. Oh, the messy truth. Your perspectives. Let's begin. Welcome to Kaleidoscope.
I know the time zones are quite different, and I'm so happy that she could accommodate me in your time zone. So thank you so much. It's absolutely an honor and of course a pleasure for me to finally do this with you guys.
Okay, great. So my name is Ruby Ray. My surname is Dio, and this is my co-host and ex-co-worker, Dorita. Um, about 8 months ago, I started medical transition. And in that time, when I switched over to the estrogen hormone, it was like my mind just went through a
Yeah,
complete revolution. And for the first time in my life, I could focus on what I really wanted to do. And since I had known what podcasts are, I wanted to start a podcast. But I never knew what I wanted to start about. And this just gave me such a new perspective. So I was like, I want to talk to people from around the world. Just
yeah, that is great. So you started this podcast 8 months ago.
yeah.
Okay, that is so great. Such a new baby. I started my show a few months ago. So your podcast is a bit older than my show, but my show has been on the wax for 3 years before we started going to production. So we had to do a whole lot of planning, back and forth, proposals. But that was like in 2022, and then we only started shooting now in 2025. So yeah,
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Um,
yeah,
okay, so what we do on Kaleidoscope is each of us takes a turn. We share a perspective that has helped us change right after introductions. And that perspective can be, for example, my first perspective ever was I've always wanted to do something creative with my life. And now
yeah,
for the first time, I feel brave enough to take that step. And it might fail, but I don't care. That was my perspective. And then I allow Luigi and Patrick to kind of delve into that with me for a while, for about half an hour, and then move on to the next perspective.
yeah. Should I
So,
be next?
yeah, absolutely. Uh, one more thing. As we begin, we like to introduce ourselves with something silly, like an anecdote. Um, for example, my name is Ruby Ray Rio, and snacks fairly in the light. So if you want to partake in that, I'll start in a few seconds. Then feel free, or you can just introduce yourself. Normally, you can introduce your socials. I will also add them into the description of the show. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Okay, great. Give me 1 second to think.
Think about what?
My introduction.
But you have it already.
No, I don't.
Come
I
on.
don't have anything.
I think you're used to this already. Come on.
Welcome to Kaleidoscope, a show where we explore the art of growth and the perspective of everyday people. My name is Ruby Ray Liu, and some people know me as the woman who howls in the night.
A she-wolf? Cram.
A she-wolf.
A werewolf, maybe?
Exactly.
That makes more sense.
I'm the werewolf when I walk my dog. I am joined today, as always, by my co-host, Luigi, and I am honored to have the host of Pride the Queer Show of K-Town TV. Help me out here, Jonas Sinalo.
Yeah.
Yay! I'm gonna clap.
There we go. That wasn't too hard.
Should I go next? My turn yet. I'm the co-host Luigi, and I just want you two to stop asking me if I'm listening. Because I'm always listening to music. I don't know why it needs to pop up and ask me and stop. Like good vibes.
What kind of music do you listen to?
You're always here before we're actually taping. You know. It's great. Whenever it fits me.
The last, but most definitely not least, in fact, the most important today.
Yes.
Well, my name is Sinalo Jonas, all the way from Cape Town in South Africa. Most people call me Flicky, as in on fleek, always on fleek. They call me the guy who's always on fleek. I don't know why. That was a name that was given to me years ago when I was starting up my television career, and it's been years now. I don't think I'm on fleek anymore. I'm a bit older now. I'm not that guy who's always on fleek anymore. But yeah, I am a television host. I am a radio presenter. And of course, I am an MC. And I must say, thank you guys. Your energy is absolutely amazing. I feel like I'm in the same room as you are, guys.
Well, you're in spirit. I could just look over here.
I hope you guys don't mind me having a cup of tea.
No, no, no.
I'm much cruder than you.
Okay, cool. That's good then.
Sinala,
Yeah.
welcome to Kaleidoscope. And do you have a perspective that you would like to dive in or share with us about how your show developed, why it developed, and where it came from? I'm super interested, or if not that, anything else.
I think for me, the perspective that I want to actually share with you today, and of course probably dive in the most, um, is the representation of who we are as queer individuals, as queer identities in mainstream media, such as TV shows, TV dramas, TV series, and reality TV shows. Um, the way we are represented in mainstream media and of course pop culture. I think that is a dialogue that I've always wanted to have, and that is a dialogue that I've always wanted to be part of. That is a dialogue that I feel like is very important in 2025. How we are portrayed in media, especially television and of course pop culture. I think also, is there enough representation of who we are on television? If there is enough representation of who we are on television, is it is it fine? Is how we portrayed, you know, the way we are in real life, or is it just for entertainment? You know, and I feel like as a queer African man living in Africa today, I feel like our stories needs to be told, and as much as I can see that there is a representation of who we are on television, in media, and of course in pop culture, but I just feel like it's just for entertainment. It's not to touch on the real issues that we face as queer individuals. I just feel like it's just for entertainment. It's just to make people laugh. It's just make people entertained, but it does not touch on the real issues that as queer individuals we face, I'll say in Africa and of course in a global scale internationally. So I feel like that is probably a perspective or a dialogue that maybe we can touch on a bit. But you guys are the owners of the podcast. Let me not come here and intrude.
No, I'm flattered. I think that what you just touched on is very, very close to my heart. Um, and it's something that I've become much more attached to in the past year than I have
Yeah,
ever been in my life. And for me, it's so incredibly visceral because I come from a place of insane social privilege
yeah,
that is that even now looking back is my perspectives on that are still changing on a daily basis. I'm realizing like how much how much has changed. And in the time that I transitioned was just before Donald Trump got elected. And the online sphere went from completely fine to me waking up and drinking coffee with an inbox full of literal hate.
wow,
And that brought home everything in such a big way. Because I started cross dressing in 2019, really. That was the start of me. This is, I normally don't like talking about this in a place where I haven't been able to prime people because it sounds like it's a pipeline act. It sounds like you become trans. But
yeah,
really, what it is, it's you're standing on the precipice of your own identity that you've locked away and you start walking towards it. Like, I don't know, like some kind of Lord of the Rings epic journey to your own identity.
yeah,
Where was I going with this? Right. So during these 4 years of being cross dressing and becoming more and more involved and in touch and connected with my own community, I started experiencing little bits of what you're talking about. And one of the things that really touched me was the Danish Girl. The movie, I don't know if you've watched that.
no, I haven't watched it.
Okay, The Danish Girl is a story, it's based on a true story of the first transgender woman the early 90s, 1900s, yeah. um, who actually received surgery. And one of the things that hurt me so much in this, because I'm married to a woman, so and in the Danish Girl, what happened was a married man became in touch with his identity during well early in their marriage. They were both artists, and in the movie, that happens in a few weeks from being in a monogamous marriage to sleeping with
Yeah,
other men. And that didn't happen. They moved to Paris together and they lived as a queer couple for more than 20 years. And that is completely erased in the movie for the sake of focusing on
wow,
this transgender journey. It's worse in a way that could seem relatable for cisgender people, but it completely misrepresents what actually happened. And it erases this beautiful lesbian relationship at the same time. And that hurt.
yeah. That sounds very interesting, actually. You know, Now that you're telling me, to be honest, I've never watched. I've never seen it before. I think you need to DM me the details so that I can literally watch it and be enlightened more about that particular story, which is quite very interesting. And it's so weird that you've mentioned that the first transgender woman was in the early 1900s, but we are only now hearing about these stories like starting a few years ago. And
Mm.
you know, where was this stories hidden for a very long time? Were they packed somewhere in a shelf that maybe in 2025 we'll share the stories? I honestly don't know. Um,
Yeah.
and
And there's another,
for
if
yeah,
I may interrupt, just on your point of why are we only hearing about these stories now? Did you know
yeah,
that the oldest goddess on record for humankind is the ancient Mesopotamian goddess Inanna, the goddess of love and war? And her story is a transgender one, and her acolytes were non-binary,
yeah.
and that is more than 3,000 years ago.
Where where'd you hear this? Where'd you learn this?
Doing research.
That's interesting. There are a lot of like,
Oh,
Yeah,
but I tend to go off on tangents. Should we let our guest continue?
yeah, you wanted to say something.
you wanted to say something, yeah.
No, you wanted to say something. We're waiting for you.
No, I wanted to say because I've posed the question, why are we only hearing about these stories now? And you're talking about this goddess, and I've literally I used to do a lot of mythology in 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 university, my first few years of varsity. And these are the kind of stories that we've never, really touched on. We've touched on them, but it was like, in passing, you know, it was not like the main focus, or we were never gonna be given an assignment based on that, or there was no question about that in the essays or in the assignments or in the exams. So hence I'm saying these stories, it seems like they've always been there, but we have never been told about these stories. We have never seen them on TV. I have honestly never read about these stories, whether at a book at the nearby library, whether it's a book at the University of Cape Town. These are the stories that don't get told often. And Ray, I'm not gonna lie, that is the reason why I got into television, because I wanted to tell the stories of the untold. I wanted to tell the stories of the minority group. I wanted to tell the stories, our stories, in a way that, you know, from the word of mouth, from literally from the horse's mouth itself, you know, instead of having a producer in LA or a producer in Cape Town who knows nothing about queer stories, but just want to create entertainment, you know, and for you to enlighten me about these stories now, which is I'm going to go and do my research as well. I've learned something from you that you're such a research expert, by the way. Um, which is, I think, as much as we're saying these stories are not being told, but it is also our duty as queer individuals to do our own research and to tell the stories, to inform, to educate. It is our own duty. As much as we are saying we want the world to be with us, but we need to be with the world. We need to inform the world. We need to educate the world so that you can do it in a small circle, of friends, and that is going to spread and infiltrate throughout your community because you've shared with the people that are close to you, and they're going to share with the people that's close to them. So thank you for enlightening me about these two examples that you've shared right now.
So now you were saying that the representation of
Yeah.
queerness on television, where you're from, is, say for lack of a better word, the problem. It's not an accurate representation. So can you gloss over it and maybe just explain a little bit of what that looks like?
I wouldn't say it's not accurate, right? Um,
Right.
I'm not saying, yeah, I'm not saying what I see on television is not accurate, but what I'm seeing on television, it's for entertainment. It does not
Right.
touch on the real life experiences of queer individuals. For example,
Yeah.
there is an incredible show in South Africa that is called Becoming, right? Which shares the stories of transgender people, whether you're a male or a female. It's a reality TV show that brings together these incredible social media stars, these incredible public figures who are in the journey of transitioning, right? And what I see on the show is not their stories being told in terms of when they started to transition, how did their family treat them, how was the reception from community, friends, and family, what does transition mean to them? Have they transitioned physically, or have they just transitioned in their head and then they started dressing as a man or as a woman? How is their transition so far? Take us through the journey of transitioning. What I see on the show is just beautiful trans people who are just hating on each other, who are just being dramatic, who are dresses very fancy, going to fancy events. It's all about partying, looking gorgeous. But in my head, and I'm like, but that's not all that we bring to the table as queer individuals. We are not just bringing um, fabulous life. We're not just bringing flamboyant life. We're not just bringing, partying, being rich, being famous. But there's so much more to us. There is a journey of a person who's transitioning here from being a male to being a female. What happens to that journey? Have they transitioned fully? Have they gone for surgery? Have they transitioned physically? Have they gone to the home affairs? Have they changed their identity? Um, through government channels, are they now recognized in South Africa as a woman, or does the ID still says male? When they fly out of the country, what happens? When they fly to another city, what happens at the airport? Those are the things that I feel like reality TV shows such as that could be showing out there to the rest of the country that as much as we've got trans men and trans women, this is their lifestyle. But these are the challenges that they face daily in South Africa and, of course, in the continent. So I don't think they are showing enough of that. Those shows are meant to educate us. Those shows are meant to inform us, you know, as much as they meant to entertain us as well. But at the same time, they need to give us information. They need to give us education. There is a child who watches that show who's probably 18 years old and is thinking of transitioning, but they're watching that show and they're not learning anything about the journey that they want to embark on. All they see is parties, drama, people fighting. God knows what they're fighting about. But I feel like there's so much that, mainstream media can touch on in terms of shows like that can educate a person like me who's a gay man about the journeys of becoming a trans man or a trans woman. You know, it's not an easy journey, but I feel like they just need to educate us. What I'm seeing now on reality TV shows, it's a matter of having this gay character, and all he brings into the table is drama and
Yeah.
rich and famous. So I'm not saying there are no rich gay men out there. There are lots of rich gay men, but let's also touch on the issues that gay men or the whole entire queer community faces in their daily lives. If we want to bring queer stories on television, or let's say it's just media as in general.
Yeah. So it sounds like, again, probably to reiterate what you're saying, that the media isn't really informing people. It's just a caricature of what,
Mm,
let's say, heteronormativity expects of, queer people, whether they're trans, whether they're gay, um, instead of, seeing the real struggles and problems. And I mean, obviously, there are a myriad of reasons why television doesn't touch on that. People might not want to watch it. It might be too painful. I mean, you're both from South Africa, and in my mind,
absolutely.
this is from what I know from what Ruby talks about in her personal life. I honestly don't, and I'm here in a place that has a lot of people from South Africa personally, and honestly speaking, I haven't met very many tolerant South Africans when it's come to LGBTQ plus whatever. So in my mind, South
Yeah.
Africa is a very uh, not not tolerant. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
I think. Oh. Oh. Okay. You continue. I'll speak after you. I want to hear your perspective on that.
Okay. My perspective is just to wrap back a little bit. I completely agree with you. A lot of TV shows take this extremely complex, extremely painful, uh, extremely deep art piece that is the life of someone discovering their true identity, and it flattens it
Yeah.
into drama, and that's terrible. And they do it because they think people don't want to see it. They think
Yeah.
people don't want to know. And that's exactly what happened with the video game industry, for example. People, big corporations do things for money because they think this is what's going to sell. And they just flatten and erase everything of value out of that. And if the people that in South Africa tend to be fleeing a situation, they feel uncomfortable and then come from a place
Yeah,
for the
that's what
I.
purpose
I.
of
I.
running away from their own life. In a way.
Yeah. I think going back to what you say, Louis, I think South Africa is. I don't want to lie. We've got one of the best laws when it comes to the protection of human rights. The law literally protects each and everyone who lives in South Africa. The skin color, gender, sexuality, it literally does protect each and everyone. The law is absolutely beautiful. And I think if I look back in 2025 and the work that I've done with the TV show, I think as much we have progressed as a country in terms of acceptance, in terms of allowing people to be who they are and live in their own truth and in their own identity. I think South Africans have come a very long way, but I feel like we still have a long way to go, right? As much as a country we have progressed, and it's amazing to see. As much as the Constitution protects everyone, whether you are queer or not, it's amazing to see. But I still feel like on the ground, in real life experiences, in the streets, at home, in the communities, we still have a long way to go. And I do agree with you, Ray. The reason maybe that our stories are not being told in a manner that we would like them to be told is because maybe TV productions or TV producers believe that people don't want to see a lot of queerness on television, right? Um, People have certain things that they want to see about being queer on television. There are certain things that they don't want to see. They don't want to see two men kissing each other. They don't want to see a journey of a transitioning man from being a man to being a woman. They don't want to see. They thinking that people don't want to see that. But from my personal experience, since I've started the show, people really want to learn. You know, People really want to engage in conversation because trust me, people are raising queer kids, people have queer fathers, people have queer mothers, people have queer brothers, people have queer parents. So people really want to learn and be informed and be informed about the queer community. But maybe we don't know what huge want when they're sitting in boardrooms and they deciding which content should go on television and which content should not go on television. I don't know how they decide, you know, but I think from what I've learned in the past few months of 2025, people do want to learn, you know, but there's not enough dialogues and spaces where people can go and learn. And I believe that television, which is one source of media that literally has so much influence, we can use that to educate people because you can literally watch an American show while you're in South Africa. You can watch a South African show while
Yeah.
you're in America nowadays. So I feel like mainstream media is the perfect way to go. But maybe they know what people want. Maybe they do surveys and people don't want to watch us on television. Who knows?
I'm more cynical than that.
Okay, well, what's your take?
I think I, I agree with you. The platform availability is incredible.
Yeah.
I think that just people that have, because exactly what you're saying is true. Television is the perfect way to influence people.
Yeah.
And as such, it is very easy to politicize. And because of that, investment comes from people who have money and want to push their agenda, and they are the ones who get to say what goes.
We need to be rich, guys, so that we can have our own channels, TV stations,
Let's
radio
do it.
stations,
Well,
and push our own
I think
agenda.
you're yeah. I think Ruby, I think you're right to a degree. Now, I would go the other way and say I don't think television is as influential anymore because of the internet. Like, you have other avenues of watching TV or watching entertainment. So, obviously obviously social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. I think way more accessible. And maybe remember this nebulous group of people that control us don't have so much influence on those things. So I feel like they're a better avenue for pure representation. But while I say that, I also know that there are people who spread disinformation and like pretend to be, allies, but they're really not. So I guess it really takes a lot of media literacy. And so the question is how do we really get people to understand what isn't, an agenda, what is genuine when it comes to, let's say understanding uh, something like queerness. I feel like maybe in the past, maybe like at least 10 years ago, maybe television, at least American television, did a really good job of representing queer struggles. Like there were a lot of shows that I thought were really,
Yeah.
really, they really moved me and really gave me perspective. Like I thought I knew quite a bit, but there are always TV shows that surprise me. One I could think of is a show called Pose, and that's on. And
Yeah.
I don't know, Sinalo, if you've watched it. What I really enjoyed, and that shows
Fortunately,
a lot
I've
of
watched
works,
it.
like the
Fortunately,
ballroom.
I've watched it. It's
Yeah,
absolutely
the
one of
ballroom
my
culture, and
favorite. It's
it's a
absolutely
great
one of
show.
my
Yeah,
favorite American TV shows. I love it.
and it really encompasses a lot of the struggles of
It does.
gays and transgender people, especially during the 80s. But a time when, like, I think a lot of people weren't even aware. I really do feel like America does a good job presenting those struggles. Yes, sir. Used to, yeah. I don't see it so much. I guess the latest would be the closest thing would be like Euphoria, which had like queer teenagers, and one of them's a trades, but I don't remember who. I'm not really as versed in the show Euphoria. That's kind of felt it's doing good, I guess. Um, but yeah, and I guess South Africa doesn't have that kind of entertainment as of yet. Am I wrong? It sounds like it's just reality TV
Yeah.
shows, and they're not
I think.
very helpful.
Yeah. I think you've touched on something. I think America, the US has done amazingly when it comes to the stories of queer
Yeah,
individuals. Now you touch on Pose, which has, absolutely one of the best um LGBTQI plus TV shows that I've ever watched. I think for me, it's the first of its kind. It was the first time for me watching a TV series that literally touches on almost each and every aspect of being queer. I mean, like South Africa, we are still a new democracy. As I've said, we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. Our country is like 31 years old this year in terms of democracy. In terms of the new constitution, we are literally 31 years into this democracy thing. So I think we still have a long way to go, but I must say we've come a very long way. Um, I must say most of the shows that I've watched that literally portrays queer identities have always been from the US or from the not from Europe. So I think you guys have done incredibly well in terms of content that is inclusive and is diverse and tells the stories of queer individuals. I think now that you've made those few examples, I think I'm also having flashbacks and I'm thinking about other examples that I've watched from American, TV shows. I think you guys have done so great. But in South Africa, we're still very young, and but I must say, I must commend that South Africans have come a long way in terms of accepting, in terms of being inclusive. We are doing the best we can, but we still have a long way to go.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. You know, I went back to South Africa. This is how I heard about you, actually.
Yeah,
Trace from the Soap Band hostel. I stayed at that hostel for 2 nights. And I told him
really.
about the podcast, and he was like, "Oh, like Pride Declaration." And I was like, "What is that?" And he was like, "You should message him on Instagram." I was like, "Okay, I'm doing it."
Yeah,
And here we are. And the reason I'm pointing that out is specifically because in Cape Town, the community is so strong. And walking down the street, it's
absolutely.
the first time I've ever walked down the street that wasn't like a clearly LGBTQ plus positive country like Thailand, where you can see a brown flag on the streets. And
Yeah,
that was, to me, that just blew me away. And I went to four cities. I went to Johannesburg, Pretoria, and Durban, and Cape Town in 10 days. For the first time, it was my first time going to South Africa as a queer woman.
yeah,
And every single city's experience was drastically different. And it just shows you like that the country has come a long way. The cultures in the different regions have separated in such a way that you can kind of feel where the progress is happening just
yeah,
by being there. But yeah, you're right. It's rapidly improving every year. I went to South Africa to change my legal documents to do the application, and I was terrified. I had to go back the second night because it was an error. But the manager of the Department of DHA, Department of Health Affairs, the loveliest guy. We had a long chat. He filled in the paperwork for me to make sure there were no errors.
yeah.
Respectful, amazing.
That is beautiful. And I must say, I'm so glad that you mentioned something about Cape Town, which is the city that I live in. Um, I think sometimes for me, it was not so difficult to do the show that I'm doing because I'm in Cape Town, which is considered to be the most queer-friendly city in the African continent. And I must say, I must comment, I must give a shout out to each and everyone that lives in Cape Town, whether they're queer or not. The community in Cape Town, whether you're queer or you're not queer, everyone in Cape Town is just so friendly towards and very open-minded towards the queer community, and which is something beautiful that tourists come to Cape Town and they experience that, and they always tell us that you guys are so welcoming to the queer community in Cape Town, and I feel like the city is absolutely a perfect example of acceptance, inclusion, and diversity. You know, in terms of queer rights, in terms of respecting queer rights, in terms of protecting queer rights, in terms of honoring queer rights and honoring queer individuals. I feel like that is absolutely amazing that you've mentioned that. And as much as those stories are being told on television, I honestly, genuinely feel like um, we need to tell the stories of Chase King is a queer man who's running a successful establishment. We need to tell the stories of queers in business. Queers who are running, who are CEOs, who are entrepreneurs, who are business people, and are running successful businesses. We don't see those stories on television. And I feel like it's time that we see those stories as well. I'm so glad that you mentioned Chase King. I've got one episode on the show on Pride the Queer Show that that celebrates queers in business, people who are queer and are running incredible, successful establishments. And that is one episode that I wanted us to put out there so that people can see that it is possible to be queer and it is possible to be queer and have and be a boss and be a boss babe and be the CEO of a corporation company, be a CEO of a hotel, be a CEO of a Airbnb, you know. And when I had that conversation with him, sitting down with him, I was like, wow, it is actually possible to be queer and being an entrepreneur, you know. We shouldn't limit ourselves as queer individuals. And I'm so glad that he came to Cape Town and opened that hostel. Please tell him he needs to open more of these places in South Africa, actually.
I'm gonna send him this episode. I'll make sure that he listens. Like you better listen.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we should move on.
You know the rule.
You wanna go like this?
Do you not have a perspective?
You go, Ray.
My perspective is, and I had this in my mind, and it come.
It's just whatever you're thinking at that moment, you know?
Exactly.
That's killing.
Trying to gather a thought.
Yeah, I'm trying to just make sure that I articulate myself well. Okay, my perspective is a quote that I read. You don't love me, you love the idea.
Can you say that again?
And specifically, you don't love me, you love your idea of me.
Okay.
And I think that's something that can mean differently for anyone. Because I'm curious to tell a lot more of my story, a lot more of the PG, PG-13 and R18 details that have never come out.
PG-13 2 are detailed.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like that it's interspersed. The whole thing is definitely not for kids.
Okay. Yeah.
But I had a conversation, and there are people that I haven't spoken to for 8 months now.
Well, you don't know.
No, no, it is perfect.
This is so perfect.
I've been pretending to be a son, a brother, and 75 years old. And I've been carrying this thing with me for always. And then finally, I have the courage to tell the truth. And the message I got back was, no matter what you do, I'll always love you, but I have to protect my future non-existent, currently non-existent children from this transgender narrative. And when you're ready to be my brother, I will be here for you. And I was like,
Uh,
that was the last. That was the last.
Hey, that's okay. 8 months ago, or that was just now?
That was 8 months ago.
So you will talk to this person again, or
I don't know.
oh, okay, it's up to them. I really hate that that person said narrative. If this was just like that the whole that like a transgender person creates this story that isn't not real, like not something that is like a real experience for the person.
yeah.
Yeah, they did. I don't want to say it. Like disqualify it by calling it a narrative. Like it's not. Yeah, it's not real. It's fiction.
Exactly.
That's a side. I just don't like that.
So I'm saying that from the perspective of a trans person now, and I completely get the shock, the potential taken abackness that you can have with somebody coming out. But if you're not able to reconcile the person with their identity, the person that you've known, and to realize that they're still the same person, you don't love them. You love the idea. You love your idea of them.
Okay.
That's
Say that again. Say that again. I need to hear that again.
You don't love me. You love your idea.
Right, but then
Of
you
me.
also said something like they're not really themselves. Something like that. Am I making sense? Because what I was thinking was you're not totally separate from a past self. It's always who you were. I'm not saying that I'm separate from the past self. What I'm saying is go. I wish we could rewind. The exact point. I haven't changed. Yeah. I'm
Right.
still the same person. Yes. I've been pretending to be someone else. Yeah. To be not someone else. Just a different person. I've been dressing. I've been forcing myself. Right. To do something that I don't want to do. Or out of a place of fear, out of a place of not knowing. And Sinala, this is something that I want to tell you as well. Like I want
Yeah.
to give queer creators a platform. That's what I want to do. Because if I
Yeah.
had known before my life changed the way it has now, my life would have reached this point much faster.
Absolutely. I I I have a question because I feel like you're saying this happened, let's say 8 months ago. You're saying the person they didn't love you, they loved their own version of who you are, right? Um, but deep down, you know, because it seems like if you had the conversation with the person, deep down, do you believe that the person doesn't love you? Or deep down, it's just a matter of they are finding it difficult now to accept who you are? Because
Very
there are
good
two
insight.
things, right? There's love, which is something that you cannot erase easily and wake up tomorrow and say, I don't love Sinalo. That is impossible. But
That's
there's
true. I'll always
acceptance, right? Yeah, I will always love you. Then there's acceptance. We need to always find the balance between, does a person love me? Okay, probably they love me. Maybe they finding hard to accept who I am. Do you feel like maybe that's the case with what has happened to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So maybe rephrase. You love your idea of what you want me to be
Yeah,
more than me. And I'm saying this in a trans context because that's easy for me to withdraw from. And I'm also thinking not about people who are struggling to come to terms with being out.
yeah,
I'm specifically talking to people who do the harsh cutoff and don't become. And I think that they still love them. The love is still there, right? The
yeah,
feeling, the connection, the memories. That's not erasable.
yeah,
But if you are more attached to that than the person who is real and there in your life, even if they've changed, that is cause for serious introspection.
I think fair enough. But how do you get this person? How do you get?
Oh, it's not something that you can force.
Yeah.
I can't
Just
hear you. You're
When's
breaking.
the point where they decide to have introspection?
I said it's not something you can force. You have to wait for them to do that by themselves.
And what spurs them to do that? That's my question.
Can you hear us?
You guys are breaking a bit. Ray, you're fine. I can hear you clearly.
It's because your beard is maybe touching.
Don't say it. It like that. Embarrassing. You're fear shaming me.
I don't find it.
Now I can hear you. I just saw Ray. I just saw a flag behind you. I was like, let me just bring something as well that can that can literally.
That's nice.
I was like, okay, you've got a flag behind you. Let me just have something with me as well.
It's beautiful. Yeah,
We really trying to dress up in space.
I bought this for him today.
Yes, I was pumped. I was really surprised. It's a good surprise. I want to put it somewhere though where the world can see it. Like that.
Can I?
I wanted to bring it to work. Ruby
Yeah.
said don't do it.
I want to hear your question before I tell you something.
Also, Ray, no, I don't have a question. I just wanted to add in a perspective, actually. I feel like I understand where you come from in terms of you don't love me, you love this image, this idea of that you have of me. There is, there I get told all the time, right? By friends, people who are close to me, people around me, that, I love the kind of gay man that you are. And I'll be like, what kind of a
Mm,
gay man I am? I love the fact that you're not wearing wigs and heels and stuff. And I'm like, what if I were to wake up tomorrow, put on a wig and heel? Would that change the love that you have for me? You know?
I know what you mean. Yeah,
And
it's
I'll get answers such as, yo, I wouldn't be able to go out with you and party with you if you're wearing heels. Or I'll get answers like, yo, I wouldn't be able to, you know, be in the same and relax and chill with you in the same space. You know, so I'm like, okay, you are accepting me being a gay man, but there are certain things that you're saying you don't want me to do as a gay man. So you are dictating my gayness right now. You
yeah,
are telling me I'm
yeah.
accepting this, I'm accepting you to this extent. If you go beyond that, you're on your own.
It's like the allies. Okay, so your friends' allyship is a performance. If that makes sense, they're performing being an ally. They don't really care about you. It's conditional, like you said. You're not the right kind of gay man. Like if you wear whatever big wig or walk around with a dress and you're too, I don't know, flamboyant.
And then I just want to
Yeah,
throw like, what about straight drag queens? Are they the wrong kind of straight? Or is it okay for them to wear high heels?
Like, well, that would have to imply that like a drag queen is just existing in the world throughout their day, not performing on stage at night in a very specific context.
Okay, fair. What about, there are many of straight cross-dressing men who actually go out cross-dress.
yeah. So is it love that comes with terms and conditions, Ray?
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
I mean, honestly, it should. Like good love, true love, you know, what we think
For me,
is unconditional.
no, there is. I think all love has a condition.
Oof.
Yeah,
All right. Let's hear it.
That condition is hate and rejection. The only kind of person that I will never love is a fascist or a racist or someone who starts to go into that direction where they hate someone or dislike someone or reject someone because of who they are, not because of what they've done.
yeah.
Okay. I don't know how to respond to that. You just sunblocked me. I'll love you if you're not a bad person. Okay.
I would
No,
love
no,
you
no,
if
no,
you're
no.
good.
It's more than just being a bad person. You can love a bad person,
Yeah.
but there comes a point where you cannot justify that anymore. You can't justify that feeling.
Okay.
And I don't see how there comes a point where nobody should be able to justify wanting to be around someone who behaves in certain ways. And you can see it in lots of ways. For example, say women who survive uh, domestic violence situations and they go back to that man. Why do they go back to that? And then they go through the kit.
Attachment style.
Yeah, I know. And it's like that man should be removed from society and they should be harmed, right? Like that the woman should be harmed. Why does she go back? Like, how do you justify? How does she justify it? And then she could be murdered in that situation.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's not like his violence is absolutely unjustifiable, and he may go on living in society after killing.
Yeah. You'd hope that.
You really hope that nothing happens.
Sure.
Anyway, sorry. I don't know enough, but the reason this is in my mind right now is because
Yeah.
before this show, I watched Donald Trump say or insinuate that domestic violence is not a crime.
I mean, objectively, a crime is only a crime until it's defined as a crime. Some group agrees that it's
No. Domestic violence is defined as a crime. But
right.
he went on to say crime rates are much lower than reported because if a man has a fight with a woman, if a man has a fight with their wife at home, it's reported as a crime. It's not a crime.
I feel it. What's the name of our political podcast? You love talking about Trump.
Say nothing when it comes to Trump.
Sounds like a great idea, you know?
Speaking of evil, he's a shit stain on humanity. He's actively erasing trans rights, and
Yes.
it's flowing around the world. So it's something that I think about constantly. Anyway, the reason I wanted to say not for Luigi to take this is because I am no longer his phone worker because I came out as trans.
Yeah.
So don't take this to work because
I still kind of want to take it. What's that have to do with anything? I just feel like it's a cool flag.
Yeah.
It's just what I believe. In the scope of the education we teach, it's a perfectly suitable thing to put in a classroom.
yes, but I was also a perfectly suitable teacher to have in a classroom.
Yeah, you were the teacher. It's not a joke. It's true.
You have to laugh about it, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's my perspective then. You have to bring us something lighthearted.
Okay. Well, I got perfect. It is kind of lighthearted.
Yeah, we need something
It's
lighter
kind of
now.
okay. A little bit lighter. I'm kind of a crotchety old man. I was watching a video. When I wake up in the morning and I get ready to go to work, I can't not be listening to something because I don't want to deal with my own inner silence. So I like to just watch videos about random people's perspectives, much like our podcast. So this is something you hear all the time. There's always someone on the internet saying, when it comes to like financial life, don't live beyond your means. They always regret that. I wish I'd lived under my means and didn't spend so much money, yada, yada, yada. But something they always come to is I should have spent more of my money on experiences and not things. Now, my take is it doesn't matter what you spend your money on. You're still spending your money on something. And maybe to disagree with me, but the idea of spending money on an experience like travel is to me just another ruse. It's just a newer bourgeois sentiment. Now you're always spending your money on something that is finite. It doesn't last. And you're always going to look for another experience to spend your money on. Whereas you buy things, you can't keep buying things because eventually you have too much things and maybe you're going to.
Yeah.
You have to deal with your existential angst. You've got too much crap. But my take is no matter what you spend your money on, you're still spending your money on something. And doesn't matter if it's a vacation experience, doesn't matter if it's, whatever, a new quote.
I wish I could give you a high five right
now. We should do away with the whole, buy more experiences.
Yeah, I want to give you a high five for that. I totally agree with you, literally. And this is a conversation. I'm so glad that you literally brought this on the table. This is a conversation that my boyfriend and I usually have all the time, right?
Really?
I believe in spending money. When you spend money on something at that particular time, trust me, trust you me, you wanted to spend your money on that thing. And at that point of time, spending your money on that particular thing fulfilled your heart. It's what you wanted to do at that particular time. My boyfriend always talks about buying houses, buying cars, and you should spend money on something that you can point and see. And I always tell him that for me, it's all about the experience. You know, I always spend money on things that I will 10 years later be like, wow, that was such a great experience for me. That is such a great memory. I always tell them about traveling, that when I have money, I always travel across South Africa because for me, that is a great experience. For him, it's like, no, you can't just travel and spend um 3,000 US dollars on traveling or 20,000 rands on traveling. You need to invest on buying a house, you need to buy a car. And I'm like, but spending money on what you want to spend on, it's something that you wanted to do at that particular time. I don't care what it is, but it's something that you wanted to do. So for me, it's all about experience. I spend money on things that gives me good experience, and I will always pay for good comfort. Um, but for him, it's all about you need to look at something and point it and say, that's what I spend my money on. And for me, sometimes it's not about that.
I mean, I'm not averse to managing your money, but I don't want people to get caught up in the ruse that buying an experience is better than buying a thing. It's all the same. I think
It
there's
is
some
all the
secret
same.
travel. Yeah, there's some secret travel lobbyists. The travel industry just want to knew they could make more money. And they said just like let's make travel.
I think big travel
Yeah,
is less than a thing than big anything else, except for airplanes. Like it depends where you travel and how you travel because you can very easily select. I guess you could do it with all products, but you can't do it with oil, for example. You can't do it with houses, for example. Like you can travel to places that aren't controlled by giant corporations and filling the pockets of
yes,
and then
but that's usually not in our like zeitgeist all over the world. When people are traveling for experiences, it's pretty big. It's some exotic place.
oh yeah, for sure. Like of course.
Yeah.
I just I hate life in general because the idea that you have to say how much money do you have to say to be able to retire?
No, that you can't. Sorry, there's no way.
Well, there's the problem. Yeah, there's no way of knowing. Yes, inflation might change. But let's say in a hypothetical vacuum where inflation never changes, right? Your interest rate was 30%. You need, let's say, 500,000 Canadian dollars saved up before you can retire.
That's not good.
That's of course it's not enough. Yeah. Throwing a hypothetical number out there.
That's a lot of money in South Africa.
Yeah. But okay, hypothetically, you have 500,000 Canadian dollars saved up, and this is going to give you enough interest in perpetuity to maintain a life after you retire. So you spent 65 years
Yeah.
saving up this money.
65 years. That's a little generous. No one works for 65 years.
What?
No one works for 65 years. And generally,
Sorry. Okay. You worked for 55 years.
when did you start working? When you were 10?
Oh, you've worked for 40 years. Oh, you've worked for 40 years.
You worked for 40 years.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
You worked for 40 years
Yeah, okay.
to save this money so that you can live prudently off of the little money that you can save.
Yeah.
And then you can't use that money
Yeah.
Because if you use it, you won't have enough interest to live. What is the point?
I when you say it like that, but I assume if you're doing the right, like, investing. What I understand is you invest in something called a basket. I'm not a financial guru. I don't know. You invest a certain amount of money, and then it gets a certain percentage of interest every year. It gets bigger, bigger, bigger. And then by the time you're ready to retire or not, you can't work, then you can live off that interest, hopefully.
Yeah, sure. I said, you sent me a video recently, and my opinion is screw that. Diversify income to a point
Oh, yeah.
where you don't need to invest.
Yes.
You don't need to keep this like giant pool of money that you can never touch.
What a dream. Yeah.
And you can just do the things like invest into passion projects or run a coffee shop and just write all the time.
Some of us are really boring. We don't have passion projects. So all we can depend on is the interest.
And if you don't have, what if you don't have a passion project? You need to find one.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Like, if you don't have interests, you should probably find interests because it's probably not healthy to just be a lump and not do anything. I feel like besides this, that's me lately. Nothing more sad. Yes, nothing more satisfying than coming home and just watching TV.
I used to play a lot of computer games.
I think that's a good. I don't think playing video games is a bad thing.
No,
I think nowadays, I mean, hey, there you go, diversify, baby. Get on that Twitch account. Have people watch you play games.
I like playing video games, but over the past couple of months, it's just been too busy, like trying to find people to talk to, like the One Piece on the podcast and making content and writing. I just haven't had any time.
Well, you say that like it's a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. I love my life right now. There's so much to do.
Because I don't know if we went off on a tangent from my originals. Point, but
Sinalo, what's your perspective on money?
oh yeah, sure. What's that? I like learning about how people deal with money. That's one of my interests.
What is my perspective on money? I absolutely believe in investment. As I said, like you've mentioned that in South Africa, you retire at the age of 65, right? And you need to have enough
Yeah.
money that's going to literally make sure that you have you can sustain your lifestyle until you die. So I believe that you need to invest money, especially for someone who works in the entertainment industry. I once got asked this question: kicking off my career at the age of 20, what would I have done differently in terms of money? I said I would have saved more and spent less money on clothes and spent less money on traveling too much and spent less money on partying, right? And instead of buying clothes for each and for every event that I went to, because I could possibly go to 4 events a week and I could literally have to buy 4 outfits a week. I said I only realized 8 years later in my career that I could have rented out those outfits. I did not have to buy those outfits. I could have literally, instead of buying 4 outfits, I could have literally went to a designer, a boutique, and say, "Hi, I'm Sinalo. I work for a television show. I need this clothes. I will give you 50%, and I'll return them
love
later
that you say that.
the following day." You know, so now that I'm like 10 years into the industry, I believe in investments and saving so much. And of course, finding projects that I know that if I start this project in 2025, I know in 2035, this project is going to generate so much money. So that's literally me right now. I think I spent my 20s blowing money. I think I need to be featured on an episode of I Blew It. Um, and talk about how I blew money in my 20s because yeah. So now it's all
You're not the
about
only one.
really okay. That's good. I'm
All
I,
20, I just feel like all 20-year-olds, excluding me, are pretty reckless with money.
he has a different perspective on that, different experience.
Oh, you want to talk about someone
Did you do your money in your 20s?
who lives to spend? Are you being fun? You went to work in your 20s.
Well, I didn't have much money, but I was getting paid enough to sustain my life
Yeah.
as a 20-year-old, right? And I feel like if I had taken some of that money and invested,
Mhm.
as you said, Ray, and invested in projects that I literally was passionate about, I would be reaping, I would be enjoying the benefits right now.
So for me, I started off, I don't come from a poor family, but individually I was not wealthy. And I wasn't able to sustain myself. I wouldn't have been able to rent a house and go to the place where I was working. I couldn't find a job. And I went to Thailand. And that's when I started living. And then I was spending all of the money that I was saving traveling back home every year. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a huge setback. And then I went to and different company. I came to China, and the same thing was happening. And then COVID happened, and I went into a huge amount of debt. I was about three. Oh, sorry, maybe not my 500,000 rand in debt.
How much is that? RMB me. Oh, there you go.
That is,
So
can I
now
tell
I'm
you something? That is
It's
someone's
almost
salary in South Africa. That is someone's paycheck.
a year's worth of work.
yeah. I was about 200,000. And now,
Quite a bit.
this is the first time in my life where I have enough money in the bank to be able to sustain myself for a significant amount of time without being paid.
Yeah,
And I have zero debt.
it's great. Well, that's what they say. Watching old people on YouTube talk about life and money, they say what you're doing is that's where they wish they were. They always wish they had, enough money to sustain themselves in case they couldn't afford it for a while. Because that's
Yeah, it's no longer paycheck to paycheck, but for a very, very long time it was.
now I live like I live paycheck.
But you are definitely not paycheck to
No,
paycheck. You have a lot of
very
savings.
stingy.
You're well ahead of
Yeah,
Garbage.
you're like me.
Don't worry,
I-
Ruby, you always got a place to stay.
I wouldn't say I'm stingy, but I think I just now I'm just like, you know what? I'm in my 30s. I just need to be more careful what I spend money on. I was all about spending money on experience, and I don't regret it, trust me. I'm so glad that I've experienced a lot in my 20s. I don't regret any of that. But I still wish maybe I could have put at least 10% away, you know.
You still can,
Yeah, I still have a long
Start
way to
today.
go. Oh, yeah,
Best time
I
to
think
plant
I
a
still
tree.
can. Yeah.
Listen, Sinalo, we're gonna get rich. We're gonna be South Africa.
Okay. Now, I got an interesting question now.
Yeah. Last couple of questions.
Okay, well, I'll go through my last one, I guess. Both of you.
That's the question.
As LGBTQ plus folks, how is money treated? How do LGBTQ people?
I
Good
trust
questions. Yeah, I can't do that. What's your question? How is money treated?
Yeah, so I'm thinking of okay, I'm sure some academic somewhere in the world has written, about the relationship between queerness and money. Is it
and
different?
money.
Yeah. Is it different? As two queer folks.
For me, it's not different. I don't think so.
But maybe Sinal has more perspective because he runs in, bigger circles of an LGBTQ community. So hard to always say that. How do the people around you, view money? Is it something like they gotta live their best life? Seize the day. And do you think that is, if it happens, is it specific to, you know, let's say queer culture, for lack of a better?
Well, I'm not gonna say much on that, but I'm not sure if Ray is maybe that this happens in the US, right? But I think for me, there is this idea that if you're a gay man, I'll talk about gay men. If you're a gay man, that automatically means you've got money. Not sure if maybe that's the same kind of mindset in the States, but in South Africa, being gay is automatically attached to being successful and having money.
Very interesting. Why do you think
Ray,
that is?
I don't know. I still need to also like try to figure out where does that mentality comes from. Maybe it's how we live as gay people, that we're so fleshy and flamboyant, and that automatically people think that we have money and we're smart and we're successful, we're rich. For example, people often say you can't be gay and not be successful, because every gay man that has created something or has done something, they become the master of that thing. Now there's this pressure that if you're gay and you're getting into an industry or you're getting into a job sector, you're getting into whatever you're getting into, you need to be the best. I don't know why is that, but I also think for me as a gay man, that was that was a situation where I said, if no one has my back, I need to have my back. So everything that I've done in my life as a gay man was to prove people wrong, or was to say, I need to have everything in my life put together. So if the world doesn't accept who I am, at least I've got an income, I've got a successful career, I've got money. I can rely on myself. So also I think it's a coping mechanism as gay men, that we need to be successful in what we do, so that if the world rejects you, at least you're educated enough, you know, you're successful enough, you've got your own money. But I also don't know where does this idea of
Consider
being gay and having money, how do they correspond? That when you're
Right.
gay, it automatically means you have money, you know? And there's a bit of classism as well. I would say there is a bit of classism.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that that's definitely an interesting point of view because I'm on that right now. You can't hear me? I'm on that right now. I made a lot of preparation in order to kind of prevent what if the world doesn't accept it? What if I end up in a space that I definitely don't want to be in?
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely true. That comes from that's one reason why gay people might, and maybe
It's
because
just like doomsday prepping.
doomsday practically
Doomsday money prep.
you have to be prepared. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Um, and I think a lot of, tell me if I'm wrong, this is an anecdotal observation. Gay men tend to come out earlier than a lot of other queer folk. And so they have more time to prepare.
Huh. I wonder.
Yeah.
Be interesting to check that statistic.
They come into that realization that, like, oh, damn, I need to be ready. And so they become more frugal and they save more money earlier. And maybe there's a
That
less
is
of a
actually
stigma attached
true.
to gayness. Yeah.
That is actually true, because most of gay men, including myself, we become comfortable in our sexuality when we have achieved a lot in our lives. When we have achieved certain things in our lives, let's say you've moved out of home, you've bought a house or you've got an apartment, you've got a car, you've got a stable job. Now you feel like, okay, now I can tell people who I am, what I identify as. I don't care who says what. Maybe that's also maybe that's also
It's a,
why.
it's a thing for me. It's something that happened to me.
Now, this is going to sound like I'm just agreeing, but that is actually the thought I had.
Really?
What Sinalo just said. Yes, like gay men, self-actualize sooner, therefore become more successful and get more money, have more assets, whatever. And I think there is. I mean, people are welcome to do the research, but pretty sure at some point in like history, maybe the early 2000s, the gay couples were more statistically more successful in life and had more money and assets. Why? I mean, but in my mind, that's what I assumed. I was like, that must be why.
Could be male privilege.
Male
It could
privilege.
be. It could also come
Very
from the fear of
status.
rejection.
Yeah.
I think it also be driven by the fear of being rejected. You know, if you come out at the age of 15 and you're rejected by a family, what now? You know, if you come out at the age of 25, when you've got everything, you've got a stable job, you've got an income, you've got your own place, and your family rejects you, at least you're not going to be homeless after that. You've already created your own income, you've already created your own circle of friends, you've already created your own sense of community outside your family. So if your parents says we are rejecting you, at least you've got people that are going to support you. At least you've got a place to sleep. At least you've got an income every month. I think it comes from a place of the fear of rejection. Um, if you do it at an early age, you might be rejected. You might be homeless. If you do it later in life, whether they reject you or not, you're not asking for their permission to be gay. Duh.
One
You're
thing
just informing
I
them.
want to say, sorry,
Yeah,
for me, being in a place of financial security, finally definitely gave me more courage to explore my own identity and be able to formulate who I am.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it definitely makes a lot of sense because you need the resources and you need that safety net.
Luigi has that giant safety net. He saves all his money, doesn't spend any of it.
Yes, to a fault, and it's not particularly good. That I say it all the
yeah,
time. I say it every episode at least. I got to work on that. 'Cause I don't, because it can't make you miserable. If you don't live a well balanced life.
definitely.
I'll ask you questions.
If it's gonna be an easy one, yes.
Are you going to a big party tonight? Because you look amazing. I know you're going to an event.
Yeah.
Did you rent the clothes you're wearing?
I know I'm gonna change.
Oh, but you look good enough to go.
Thank you. No, the thing is I could wear this, but the weather is a bit windy outside. I might be cold. We are in spring now, so we're chasing summer. Our spring, Cape Town has a different weather from the rest of the African continent. Our spring is very cold. We're in spring, but it's a bit cold. I would love to wear this, but let's say around 5 p.m. South African time, I would get cold. So I need to change into something else. Yeah, also I just wore this because I was like, I'm indoors, it's quite warm. The windows are closed because I don't want outside noise and it's warm here. Yeah.
I think we should probably do that.
So
podcast.
what was the question again? Sorry. Did you ask your question?
That was the question.
Yeah, I asked,
oh.
where are you going tonight? Some big event, some big party.
So since I've started the show, Pride the Queer Show, I've been getting a lot of requests, to attend queer events, to be part of panels in queer events, to be part of to cover queer events for my show. But tonight I'm going to a queer space, a queer club called Manhattan Avenue. It's right here in Cape Town. It's a beautiful queer club. It's amazing. It's one of those spaces where you feel safe as a queer individual. So I've been invited. They've got an event tonight. It's open to each and everyone who's queer, and of course allies. Everyone wants to go. So they invited me to come through. They want me to to tell the audience about my show, to go on stage and tell the audience about the work that I do on television with the show. So they've invited me to come at the event to actually inform people and advertise my show. So I think that is a great opportunity for me to actually do that. I mean, like we are 11 episodes into the show. Tomorrow is our 10th. Then next week, 11th episode. So we're almost done with the season. So I think, yeah, I'm going. I'm not going to spend much time. I'll probably spend 2 hours, come back and sleep. That's it. So it's an event at Manhattan Avenue. Absolutely one of the best gay um places in Cape Town.
Would you like to tell our listeners about your social media accounts and how they can find you, where they can watch?
All right. So if you are all the way from the US or from Europe or from Middle East and you'd like to follow me, it's simple. You can find me on all social media platforms. I'm Sinalo Jonas, whether it's Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, X/Twitter. I'm Sinalo Jonas all over. And of course, you can follow the show on Instagram. It's at Pride the Queer Show. Or you can just hashtag us if you want to communicate with us. Hashtag Pride the Queer Show. So it's easy to find me. It's at Sinalo Jonas throughout.
I told you I'm not cool enough for social media.
You can contact Luigi through me. Fire from.
I have an Instagram. I'm just not ready to share it. It's kind of lame. I need to post more.
I'll link to your
I
post.
also don't post as often, guys. Me and social media are not best of friends.
I'm Fire from Heat on Instagram, Heat from Fire on TikTok, and Ruby Radio on YouTube.
Get it.
Thank you so much for coming on our show. So, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop the recording. Just stay on the line for a little bit
Okay.
to check if your upload is finished.
Okay, cool. When are you guys coming to South Africa?
Hi there, it's Ray again. If you've stuck all the way through to the end, again, I am so sorry for the poor quality of audio this time. I'm working on permanent solutions and learning as I go. I've had such fun growing this podcast, you know. Yeah, if you have any suggestions or things that you think I should try, please let me know. Let me know if there's content. Let me know if you want to be on the show. I would be glad to have you. I'm also starting another podcast called In Confidence. You can send me your confidential stories, the stories that don't normally get to see the light of day, and I'm going to read them and share them. You're also welcome to come onto the show, anonymously or not, and share your story with me. It's a bit of a passion project. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but I'm really excited. And if you want to see a lot of that, more content, of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can also comment in the doobly doo. You can find Sinalo at Sinalo Jonas on Instagram, TikTok, X. He's not on YouTube. And you can find Pride the Queer Show at Pride the Queer Show on Instagram. I'm not sure if they're on TikTok as well. Don't forget to stream. Anyway, have a good one. Love you.